Hello and welcome to the StrongCast, where it is our goal to help you perform without limitations. We chat with athletes, experts, and innovators to get their insights in optimizing the movement experience. I'm your host, Dr. Neil Toussaint. In episode 10 of the StrongCast, I had the pleasure of sitting down with Ethan Turner, one of the top trickers right now, killing the game. We really got into his physical training routine, what he does to condition, what he does mentally, as well as his lifestyle, how he chooses his nutrition, and all the things that go behind the scenes into creating what you guys see in the clips. And I was super inspired by how much work he is putting in behind the scenes. It's just really nice to know that all of that hard work will pay off. And he really goes deep into talking about how to scale your physical abilities with what you want to do on the floor. We really get into so much more, breaking plateaus. If you guys are trying to break any plateaus, if you feel stuck in your training, this is definitely one to watch, depending on, regardless of where you are in your tricking journey, or if you do any other sports, this is going to be an amazing episode to watch. So let's get into it. What do I gotta say? I got this little book today, and
Dude.
I'm going to start using it for the podcast because, like, if you look at a screen to take notes or to look at notes, then it looks like you're just distracted. But
Yes.
if you have a book, then people are like, "Oh, you're
Damn, homie's prepared.
This is this is for this." So, welcome to StrongCast number 10 with Ethan Turner. Ethan, how's it going?
Good. Thank you so much for having me, Neil.
Dude, absolutely. Thanks for being here. So I kind of just want to hop right into it. We're live from HQ right now. This is the new TrickStrong location in Atlanta. So I'm pretty hyped to be here and to have a new background and everything.
Yes.
But yeah, man, I'm just really excited to like get your insights on what you've been doing, But first, I don't think that there's any tricker that doesn't know you. But just introduce yourself for the two people that might not know, or
Yeah, my name is Ethan Turner. I'm originally from the East Coast, grew up in Maryland. I'm 21 years old. I'm living in Colorado now, and I've been tricking since 2014, so about 8 years.
That's crazy. I did not know you started at 2014.
Yeah, I was 13 years old. It was super fun. I met Adam Davenport, who's the first tricker who introduced me to the sport. And then later I went to the Red Bull Throwdown event in Atlanta, actually. And I met just pretty much everyone. Everyone all over the world was there. It was really cool.
Nice. Yeah, I wanted to go to that, but I was still living in New York at the time.
You were in New York, right? Yeah. At the Beastwood House, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I wasn't there quite yet. I moved in 2015 there.
Okay.
But yeah, it was close. But did you have any background in it all or anything, or?
Yes. So I did about enough Taekwondo to give me a black belt, and then I quit. And then I did parkour and free running from 2012 to 2014.
Nice.
And I was also on a trampoline and tumbling team for about 2 years. And so I feel like the elements of tumbling and trampoline, parkour, free running to a degree, but mostly the Taekwondo very, very keenly helped kind of build a background to a sport that I would later discover and become my biggest passion,
Yeah, you didn't even know you were in the lab, putting all the ingredients in for the perfect machine.
It was such a good mix, It worked out so well in hindsight. I always look back on it damn, that was hilarious. I didn't even know what I would be going towards, but I'm glad I did the things I did,
Literally perfect, because you're at a developmental age at that point, and you're cross-training at all these disciplines that will give you the athleticism to do tricking. So that's pretty sick.
My dad was a big running nut too. So on top of all that, I was track and field and cross country all day, every day. And that was a really good for the endurance aspect of it, perhaps. But and building good core strength, because I think runners have good core strength. But other than that, it was a perfect storm.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. So how did you find your come up in tricking? How was that journey? Any difficulties? Go ahead.
I was really young, I feel when I was getting into tricking still, definitely just in my early teens. And so as I was developing my foundational tricks, I definitely had that youthful like energy to just go into the gym every single day and just train tricks every day. And so I think what really helped was I lived about a mile from the gym, so I took my bike there. I didn't even have to drive or anything. And I would just go every day. And I would go like multiple times a day, and I would trick super frequently. And that was like throughout my time living in Georgia, actually, because I started tricking in 2014 in Augusta, Georgia. And I trained in Georgia until 2017. And those couple years were like really, really key in just having really good gym access and being able to train super frequently, so I could build muscle memory far faster than my peers who necessarily didn't have that same access. And then on top of that, I think it was also the cross training. At that point, I was still heavily training my running, and I was doing like conditioning outside of tricking pretty much every single day. And then when I moved to Maryland, I was like still doing the same thing. Like my school sports honestly kept me like conditioning like really hard outside of tricking, just doing like all of that running. And then going to a lot of events, especially like when I moved back up to Maryland in like 2017, and I got to go to my first Euphoria event. I'd been to some Neos before, but I was just closer to Neo now, so I could drive, like that was a possibility. And being closer to community, because down in Georgia, I was definitely just training with some parkour friends and homies, but I mean that was still definitely very, very beneficial. But getting to be with trickers, in Maryland was like so key, and just surrounding myself with new inspirations. One of the big ones being Will Coney's. I loved training with him and getting to be around him at session, because he's full of such crazy ideas and combo creation at session. And the whole DMV family just provided a very, very welcoming embrace and helped my tricking very, very much so, and to get me ready essentially for my real pop off, which is when I moved to Colorado in 2019, and I was now surrounded by the Colorado trickers, who are absolutely amazing. And it's just like a family over here as well, I would say, but just even bigger, And so it kind of feels like I've just been in this never-ending gathering for the past like 3 years, and that's what's been super key, is that sessions with that many people that are super motivated, highly motivated to just trick every day, has just helped my tricking grow even more. But yeah, like it's been a journey for sure. Kind of going up the East Coast and then coming out to Colorado. But I think every move that I made was very, very key in making me into who I am today. And all the people that were around me and helped support me, without them, I definitely would not be where I am today. So yeah, it's been crazy.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. Did you move to Colorado for tricking? I'm guessing probably.
Yes, like 99% of the reason was because there is a giant tricking community out here.
Yeah.
Donnie Martin was actually the first person to fly me out to Colorado.
Nice.
He brought me out to the DMG3 gathering, and that was absolutely life-changing, because around that in 2018, Torque Tricking was my first sponsor ever in tricking, and they let me stay at their house for extended periods of time as we worked together on content. And then I eventually moved in with them after COVID hit, and I needed a place to go. I was because I moved out to Colorado for school as well. So I was finishing my undergrad in biology as I'm tricking super freaking hard every day.
Yeah.
And I just needed a place to finish that rather than go all the way back home. And so Torque was awesome and giving me a place to stay. And it was super fun just living together with my teammates and getting to trick pretty much every day, and just doing like remote school at that point. And so yeah, the whole time I've also just been going to college, which I feel like a lot of people think I'm like older and like maybe think that I've graduated already. But like I've been like in between like all these fat snap cannon sessions is like organic chemistry and microbio, and like not exactly the most fun classes, but like very challenging. Very interesting classes to me though. I'm like super excited to finish this degree and potentially move on with some more research. But
nice.
That is something outside of the tricking realm that I feel like is also why I'm so interested in the the recovery side, and why and how the body is essentially working as we're tricking. How is all of our anatomy working together to produce such an awesome trick, and well, what exactly are we doing to it that can negatively impact it while we're doing all of that? So that's why TrickStrong has been absolutely key in my tricking career as of late, especially as I'm getting more and more into my biology degree and finishing that. I'm finding so many parallels between like the things that I need to be training, with my body as I'm learning in my anatomy class, that is just paralleled by some of the exercises that I'm seeing in TrickStrong. So it's all been super super fun. Like I said, it's all been a perfect storm coming together.
No, I love that, man. That's so great. Like, um, I have a few questions about everything you just said, but the first one
Yeah.
is, what do you want to do with the biology degree? I did not know that you were studying biology right now.
I wanted to get out of my undergrad and work in physical therapy, probably. That was like the thing that I
All
probably
right.
saw for the longest time. Yeah. And so I
Cool.
imagined myself going to like a PT school, and doing something along those lines. And maybe even, you know, I can help you with the TrickStrong once I'm out of my undergrad and like intern with you or something. I don't know, that could be cool.
Yeah, definitely
Um,
could be. Like,
I would love to help you with any like upcoming projects or something. So yeah, that's one of the things that I consider myself going into physical therapy, and completing like a PT school. Um, so that'll be, pretty much like next year after I graduate, like I'll start
soon.
looking for schools and doing things. So yeah, that's like actually a really exciting upcoming move for me. Hopefully it won't mean that I have to like move physically anywhere, because I definitely
Right.
like kind of the spot that I'm at, but I'm definitely not opposed to also just um getting the chance to potentially like come out to Atlanta and work with you in person and do stuff like that too, because that could be
Dude,
awesome.
if you get a
Yeah.
clinical or get accepted to a school here, definitely let me know. That would be
Yeah,
sick.
that would
Like,
be so sick. That would be
yeah.
so sick.
But,
Because that's like a really good spot for it too. There's like um some good areas there, as well as just like I know there's like a potential spot here through CU has like a hospital that they kind of funnel their med students into,
nice.
but we will see, dude. I'm that's like a super exciting thing for me. So
That's
yeah,
great.
that's coming up. But yeah, like physical therapy for sure. Because I want to understand really what we're doing to our bodies and how we can potentially, fix those bodies up to be better functioning and longer lasting, especially in such a like explosive and high impact sport that
Right.
we're training.
For sure. But, the whole thing, I can't agree with you more. That's why I've chosen this path too. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I came to the same conclusion. I was tricking and I was just like, how is this working? How is our body
Yeah. Like,
working? What is happening? How do I feel this way now? Because I didn't do any athletics actually before I started tricking at all.
whoa.
Like, my background was Cocoa Pebbles and video games. So, and then I was like, yo, that backflip looks pretty cool. Let me I'm gonna try a backflip, I guess. And then, over time, it just became a really important thing. Actually, really quickly became a really
Yeah.
important thing in my life. And I just wanted to further my knowledge of athletics, of performance, of longevity, and all that stuff. But yeah, that being said, how do you find that you are able to keep up with the demands of tricking and recover? Because obviously, tricking doesn't get easier on the body; it only gets harder.
No.
I mean, from a
Yeah.
logical standpoint, you can clearly see that like a triple cork has more rotational force than a double cork, and then
Yes.
of course, there's the issue in the beginning. You're learning completely new skill, so you're not able to you might get hurt like trying the new thing,
Yes.
of course, but as we go on it gets harder and harder. So how have you been able to
Yeah.
deal with more and more impact as you continue?
I think as my tricks continue to grow in impact and difficulty, it's only become more clear to me that my body must grow in strength, um, together with my tricks. Because if you're developing a tricking arsenal full of tricks that your body can't actually physically handle, you are doomed for the hospital, man. Like, and that's what I was figuring out, is that as I'm like tricking so hard every single day, I used to think legitimately that like you could trick every day and that was your conditioning, that was your workout. You could just trick every day and like that's
Yeah.
how you're going to get really good. I was like, oh, why are these people like talking about no, 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 tricking, that's all you would need. It's the best exercise. It is like. And then like as I like got better at tricking and like got injuries along the way as well, and I'm like starting to like feel my pain ridden body do a hook kick or something, I'm like, there's something wrong with this that didn't feel wrong a couple of years ago that I need to address if I don't want it to keep feeling wrong.
Right.
And really diving into trying to understand what my body was doing as I was doing these tricks and targeting those muscles and strengthening them so that I would not keep having to put up with the same weaknesses. And that has been super, super key in keeping up with the demand of these tricks, because as you said, as the difficulty scales, the risk for injury scales and also just the demand on your body scales. And so I one of the things that I'll do every day is, I definitely wake up, go to the gym. That's like necessity. If I'm going to trick that day, especially, and I don't go to the gym, I may trick well, but I'm going to be really fucked after that session.
Yeah.
And if I don't do anything the next day necessarily to like rid myself of that lactic acid before I go train again, I'm going to be like super sore, and my tricks just aren't going to perform that well the next day. Versus I can pretty much trick every day, not having like the hardest sessions every day, but like smaller sessions on certain days, maybe more of a mobility session, and then maybe a harder session later in the week. Learning when to take rest days has also been super key. But and just implementing conditioning sessions pretty much every day so that I can make sure that I am taking care of what my body is essentially dealing with the day before, because I'll make sure that I stretch and everything. But no matter how hard I feel like you kind of like stretch after your sessions, but if you tricked hard, you're going to feel it the next day. And doing some kind of conditioning workout the next day is like super key. And so on top of the TrickStrong, I'm always like hitting the steam room and hot tub, trying to like just take care of myself, just like nice things, Swimming has also been super key. Like I used to swim in high school a lot. And one of the things that has been, I feel like, really beneficial out here is just being able to have a pool nearby to swim, because it's like such great full body, like no impact exercise that you can kind of get like a nice full range of motion without really like hurting yourself. And so especially with my knee, when I had like a very severe like bone bruise there, and like I really couldn't move it too much, I could still swim. And so I made sure that I was still swimming so I didn't get like a frozen knee or something.
Yeah, for sure.
And so doing things like that and just developing an understanding of that my body needs to grow with my tricks, otherwise I'm headed to the hospital. And kind of trying to just stay true to that and maintain a very consistent conditioning routine with my tricking routine has been just, dude, so key.
Nice.
Because otherwise, dude, I'd just be a broken man.
Dude, I feel you. Let's get into like what a day looks like. So you say conditioning sessions. What kind of stuff are you doing early on before a session, and then maybe like on a mobility or rest day? Like how does that look?
Yeah. So like on my like I feel like strength and conditioning days where like let's say this is a day that's more dedicated to the early morning workout than it is to the actual tricking session. I just make sure that I go in and I usually just warm up with some cardio, and like I'll hit the bike or like the Stairmaster even, just to like make sure that I can get my blood pumping a little bit before I kind of go into my workout. And then I'll go in and I usually just warm up with because my conditioning routine kind of revolves around my left knee. I'm always doing like lots of like knee, quad, and like hamstring exercises. So I'll do like the A kicks to kind of warm up my knee a little bit. Then I'll do some lunges. And then I make sure that I'm doing maybe if I need some weighted lunges for some extra, extra work kind of put into that exercise, I can kind of work out my quad a bit more doing those. I'll do maybe some different types of lunges. I'm trying to get into the range of motion of a curtsy lunge, because as my inner knee is kind of damaged, getting into that range of motion is rather difficult. And then doing other things like monster walks and doing my my glute bridges has been really key, especially the single leg glute bridge, as I feel like strengthened my left knee significantly since when I started. The Copenhagen planks as well always make me cry. Those are great.
I think
and so
those
kind
are
of just
essential for trickers.
oh
I
dude,
mean,
yeah, so
I
essential.
think every tricker should be doing those. Like
And what
that
was
should be
really funny
the
too
most
is like
common plank we see.
I developed that Copenhagen plank like really well on my bad side, essentially, that when I went to my good side, I made the mistake of I was doing pretty much all the exercises on both sides, except for like after like that first week I did like the Copenhagen planks just on one side. And then when I went to try it on both sides, my like good side ended up being my bad side eventually,
Yeah.
And so I thought that was kind of funny. And that also could just be that my right groin is just really weak in comparison to my left. Like my left adductor could just be weaker, or my right one could be weaker. But
But
doing
a lot
things
of
like
times,
that.
like you can get past that conditioning hurdle, or you can get past the injury hurdle by conditioning, and that proves
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. And just doing things like that, honestly, making sure let's say that like that was one day where I just did that around my knee. And then I also hit, say some weight machines. Like, I put on maybe like 50, 70 pounds, like not like a lot, just like enough to get like a little bit of a, like, because my legs are like still recovering. So like I feel like to some of the bigger triggers out there, that's like a tiny number. And I'm a kind of tiny human though. So as I'm doing my like adductor, abductor, leg extension, hamstring curl, um, doing my other like things like squats, and my like the goblin squats that were in there were like really good. Just things like that, with like some added weights like after that initial workout, so that I can like really feel like I'm getting like a good burn, getting like a good pump through my legs and everything. And then after that, I'll go hit the hot tub in the steam room, and then I'll swim like 20 laps and feel how that feels like all together in one. And usually after that, like I don't even feel too sore, because after like swimming and like hitting that hot tub, it almost feels like it negated all of the soreness from the earlier workout. And I just feel like, dang, I just got like a really good workout. And the gym I go to, they also have like waterbed massage tables. So I'll hit that on the way out, and I'm just feeling like a king after I leave.
You're training
And so
like a
doing
king.
like all of that and then going to session, like I could have a really good session, although maybe like I don't really want to. I'll maybe have like a lighter session, just because I know I did a lot earlier. Like my legs may feel strong, but I just kind of want to like take it a little bit easier, so that the next day when I do like more of a mobility workout, and kind of get rid of maybe any lingering soreness, when I go into session that next day, my session is going to be prime. Like I could really go in if I wanted to. And then I'll kind of like go like off days. We only maybe have about like 3 or 4 super hype sessions during the week. Like on Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and maybe Saturday, and Sundays even too. But on those other days, I'll definitely be more like focusing on my actual workout of my body, less so on the tricks. And just finding a balance in between that has been honestly like the most key thing, is like, when do I trick? When do I work out? And what days can I essentially kind of do both? Because I definitely am not trying to like overload my body as well. Like taking rest days is very, very key as well. Just make sure that, every once in a while you're not blasting yourself every single day and
Yeah.
feeling like, dang, like this is kind of a lot. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, finding a healthy balance within all of that, and doing like swimming, like weightlifting a little bit, and then just like nice like mobility and PT. And just finding the days that I need to do that. But then also the guesswork has been kind of taken out for me when you release curriculums that, tell you what day to do what. And that's been
Sweet.
super key as well, is that, as I'm trying to juggle all these things, sometimes it is nice to just have someone to tell you, hey man, just do this on this day. Like just take
Nice.
the guesswork out. And so that's been super nice, honestly.
Yeah, no, definitely. I've used the app. I use the app.
Dude, it's
It
so
just
nice.
makes it easy for me
It
to do
makes it
it too,
so
because then I don't
easy,
have to
man.
even
It
think
makes it so
about,
easy.
even when I'm going in to do a mobility routine or strength or whatever, sometimes I have to think of like what I want to do that day. And then just going on there, I could just be like, well, I don't have to think. I'm just going to do this. And I know for 40 minutes I'm doing that, and then I'm done. So yeah, that's awesome
Yep.
that you've been able to organize all that. In our last podcast with Parker, we had just talked about managing, like time management and
Dude, time management's so key.
dealing with like a heavy school schedule, and seeing how you're taking organic chemistry and all that. Like I think it would be really dope for some people to hear, myself included, like how you're juggling all that while still training that hard, and then also doing the tricks training in addition to your conditioning, in
Yeah.
addition to all the
It's
studying
it's
and
a lot of
everything.
juggling, because on top of that, like I'm like money has to come in somehow, and so like I'm like also trying to find like time to work in
Yeah.
in this schedule. But I feel like I definitely highlight and prioritize. I feel like my body. I definitely make sure to have time to do my schoolwork and my actual job. But my physical therapy essentially and my tricking definitely always feels like it comes first in my day. And for that reason, I'll almost always start and end my day with those things. So like start, and before I do anything, I'll just like go to the gym and get that workout kind of in. And then after that, like when I feel nice, I have some endorphins from the workout, I can feel like I can get some work done. And so I'll usually try and edit some things on my laptop and get some work done if I can, before maybe doing some schoolwork or something like that. And so during the day, I'm usually just kind of on my computer for the most part every day, just editing or putting together some content, or doing some schoolwork, studying. And then when it gets to around, I don't know, maybe like 5, 6 p.m., getting later in the day, try and turn that off. And if I haven't really been outside yet, because that tends to happen, I try and make myself just go the fuck outside, because
Yeah.
vitamin D is a real thing. And I feel like, um, especially living in the state that I do, I should go appreciate the outdoors. So I'll try and like go outside for a second, maybe like just go stretch, get a little bit of a get active, because I've probably just been in my chair all day just working and studying, that I need to go do things. And that'll help kind of motivate myself to get ready for the session that's probably taking later that night. Um, and what's always nice though is that even if I'm unmotivated and kind of tired to go to session, because there's just so many people that live in this state that are always going to session, my phone will end up being flooded with text regardless of whether or not I'm going, of the whole group chat saying like that there's at least 15, 20 people going. And I'm like, oh, I do want to just, even if I don't trick, I'll go hang out.
Yeah.
And that's the part that'll get me to session. And then if I'm at session, I'm like, well, I'm here. And then I'll start tricking. And that's usually fun. Not that it's usually too much of a bother to like get myself to trick, because I always end up loving whatever I end up doing at the end of the session. Sometimes, it's just not easy. You're just tired.
Yeah,
You're just
we're all
like,
human, man. It's like, yeah, it's a lot of energy put out to do
oh yeah,
a trick.
yeah, yeah,
So
man.
if you're
Yeah,
feeling
man.
tired, you're just like, and I feel you. And that's why I talk so much about like showing up, Like a lot of
Yeah,
people try to put pressure on like what trick they're gonna land or what they're gonna do at the session or all that stuff, or like what clip they're gonna get for their sampler. And I'm
yeah,
speaking
dude,
from experience, but like,
dude.
at the end of the day, if you just show up, I find that those end up being the best and most productive and most satisfying sessions where you don't
Yeah.
really have that many expectations and you're just
That's
going.
that's what's so key, is that when you go in with no expectations, you're gonna just be able to have a good time because you didn't set the bar so high. And
Right.
especially as everyone progresses in their tricking journey, they set their own bar higher. It's just a natural thing that happens. You're gonna be looking at the harder tricks like, damn, I should do that, or why can't I do that?
Right.
And it's like thinking like that makes tricking, I think, easier to plateau in, if you're just thinking about all the things that you could be doing rather than just doing the things that you are. Because I think every stage of tricking can and should be just appreciated for just being fun, because it is such a good workout and it'll bring you some very good friends. And you should just take your time with wherever you are, because you're going to get to wherever you want to be if you just keep at it. And that there's no point in necessarily ruining a session over like one clip, or like ruining like a week's worth of sessions over like one clip, because that's happened to me before too. Is that I'm like, all right, we're making rowdy. The only thing that can go in it is the hardest shit that I've ever done in my life. And I'm like trying to hit the craziest tricks, and it's taken the whole session to hit like one trick, or it's taken like a week to hit the one trick that I wanted. And I'll get that one clip because I just grinded my ass off. But I feel like that's also a different kind of grind, is like when you're really on the sampler grind, like your sessions stop becoming like super fun. You go in and you're like, this is a film session. All I'm getting are the nastiest bangers that have ever existed. And like that's a fun thing to do sometimes, but like only I feel like when you're like, that your body can take
Right.
that kind of training, and that B, like that you like mentally, like you're not playing with yourself. You could actually do these tricks right now.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
because
Do the
sometimes it
work
is just that.
before.
Yeah, sometimes it is just that next attempt. But you could
Right.
keep telling yourself that for a couple months before you realize, hey man, maybe I should do something else.
Yeah. Take a step back for sure.
Dude, being stubborn, it's the worst.
I wanted to talk to you about like lifestyle, nutrition, like so when I say lifestyle, I tend to be talking about nutrition, hydration, stress management type stuff. Like what is your take on all that? What do you do nutrition wise? Like
So nutrition wise, I definitely just try and stay away from like super processed foods, and like snacks and candy is the biggest thing. Luckily for me, like cross country at a very young age killed candy and sugar for the most part. Like my
true.
coach was like adamantly kind of a dick about like monitoring his athletes' diets, as like, and we're like teenagers,
Yeah.
and so
You may be
we
a
weren't
little
really
young
trying to
for it,
care.
but
But it worked well, because even then, like it like killed the sweet tooth that I had, and ever since, like if I ever have like super sweet foods, it like just tastes bad. It just
yeah.
tastes too sugary. And so I'm like glad that I've acclimated to a diet of essentially like not a lot of sugar, or just like added sugar, which is key. Um, but other than that, I think it's yeah, like not eating like a lot of snacks, I feel like, and trying to um have like full meals, just like 3 good meals in the day, which is something I struggle with for sure, just like eating enough, rather than eating too much. I'm definitely just not eating enough most days, but trying to, make sure I'm getting like a grams worth of protein for how many pounds I weigh. So I'm like, I only weigh like 130 pounds, bro. I'm like 5'7", and like I feel like I'm very light. And so one of
It's
the things has
working.
been like, yeah, it's been working for sure. Is like, and I feel like everyone's body has like a what's the hypothesis that everyone has like a good range that they should, like an
Set point.
optimum range they should be in. Yeah, set point,
Yeah.
right? And so I feel like I'm in that range when I'm around like between 130 to 135 or even 140, because I was definitely tricking at like 140 before my injury, but I just haven't been able to really put that weight back on. And I've been trying to get that weight through muscle as my conditioning, and that's been more key. Although I don't know if I ever really had too much fat to begin with. I've just been like a skeleton for most of my life.
Yeah, yeah.
But I definitely just like I mentioned, my girlfriend's pescatarian, so I've become kind of pescatarian by association because we just don't buy like animal products.
Right.
And so, I mean, one of the things that's great is that tofu is $1. You go to the store, you want a big brick of tofu, it's $1. And it has like a good bit of protein in it, and is and I'll still eat eggs. Like I definitely like eggs. Um, but staying away from like super processed meats as well, I feel like has decreased how much inflammation my body is producing when I'm like working out. And I use like a whey protein, but like as we talked before, like it actually started irritating my stomach because I've switched to that pescatarian diet kind of. And so I think I'm going to switch to a plant protein and see how that really works. Um, but yeah, staying away from just like things that are bad for you, because like everyone I feel like has like they know like if
Everyone knows,
and
man.
you feel it when you're eating it too. You just feel if it's
You just
bullshit.
get better at ignoring it, and it's like
Yeah.
man. That's
And
I
so
couldn't
just
agree
getting
more.
more in tune with what I feel like is a good diet over the years. And as I've like studied like through my biology degree, like we had our unit on our diet, and I even interned at a veterans hospital for a summer as a dietitian, and so that was kind of fun.
Cool.
Um, Getting to look at the menus and what they create, and like what and why they create menus with certain nutritional values for the patients and everything. So that was pretty cool. Getting to learn about that. Um, and definitely just implementing what I believe is good eating practices into my day. Just making sure I'm getting my 3 meals and making sure that they're not consisting of bullshit.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
and I feel like that one is like definitely easier said than done. But on top of that, the stress management through like doing all of this, I think it's really key that you're taking moments to reflect on just like shit that's been happening. Like I feel like as our society has almost like progressed and we just get more and more active doing things all the time, especially like in our day and age, we're like moving at like 200% speed all the time, that you don't necessarily allocate that hour of a day necessarily to just like think and maybe even just be bored,
Yeah.
just to allow your brain to do nothing for an hour. Maybe that's listening to music. Maybe that's part of the workout. Because for me, the swimming portion of my workout is honestly part of my stress relief, my management of that day. Because during those 20 laps, something however long that takes is usually what about I do. I'm just staring at the ceiling, and hopefully, it's like not crowded in the pool. I really like it when I'm the only person in the pool because the water's really calm, and you just think, and I just like, well, just look at the ceiling of the gym, and I'll just think about, plan about, maybe what my day was doing for the rest of the day, what I did yesterday, how I'm feeling, honestly,
Check
and
in.
just taking the time to do, yeah, just a little check-in, because I feel like that's so key. Um, I definitely listen to a lot of music. I feel like music is very key with a lot of trickers' lives, is making sure that, there's a soundtrack to everything.
For sure.
You don't necessarily need a soundtrack to everything. There are moments that I think are meant to be silent, but having a soundtrack to your life can be kind of motivating. I definitely enjoy listening to music most parts of the day. And I live in Colorado and I have a med card, so that's one of the other ways that I'm
Nice.
able
Yeah.
to get some stress relief in my day. But other than that, yeah, I just, take it one bit at a time, or try to,
I've
and make sure that I'm fueling my body with food that won't hurt it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I feel you, man. As far as the music thing, it's funny you say that because in this move to this place, it's been incredibly stressful because we had to move a whole bunch of stuff. It's not just like our stuff, but stuff for the business and like the floor and all that. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty rushed too. But
Yep.
yeah, I just like stopped listening to music sometimes while I was driving. Just stop listening to podcasts, just to give myself the time to check in and to think
Yep.
about what I'm feeling
Yep.
and what I need to do. And yeah, for like a month, I just wasn't listening to music. I was like, I
Dude, I mean,
gotta hear my thoughts for a
it's
bit.
key. It's
Yeah,
key because music, as much as it is like a motivating soundtrack, it is also, it's someone else's story being played in your ear. Sometimes
exactly.
you need to listen to your own story and just have that for a bit, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that's really key, you know. And congrats again on the move, you know.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. You got to come down. We
Yeah,
talked
I'm
about it
fucking
a little
stoked.
bit,
I haven't
and
been I
we're
haven't been
gonna
there
do
in a
it.
I haven't been to back to Georgia actually in forever. And I was like, I feel so bad. I was supposed to go to my homie's wedding, and yeah, like
Don't post too soon that you're in Georgia then.
no, but like we're gonna make it happen. I think dude, honestly, maybe I'll just come down there to escape the cold because like it's getting cold sometimes. Not
Already?
sometimes.
No, not now.
No, no, not yet. It is like 100. It's like 100 degrees here. And one of the
Same.
things about Colorado that I thought was funny is that it's so bipolar. Like it'll be hotter than like I lived in Maryland, so it's a very mild climate. I feel like we get all the seasons respectively. Versus in Colorado, when it gets hot, it gets hot.
Mm.
Like I am in a desert and the sun is so close to me, bro. But then when it goes down, like I would have gone into like an hour, maybe like 2 hour lecture. I go into Orgo, you know, take my notes, and then I go to leave, and there is like 6 inches of snow on the ground. And I longboarded to class, and I'm like, how am I getting home? Like I have to walk like the 2 miles or something back to the dorm.
That's
Like
nuts.
that was funny, you know. It's been crazy.
Colorado is crazy, and the whole West Coast, like that, the whole fact that the Great Sand Dunes National Park exists is
It's
crazy.
so funny. We want to have a
Like,
gathering there and camp there
oh
because
man,
what's one of the things about the climate here that's like super super cool, is that because it is like kind of a tundra, and you have like places that would exist in that tundra like the sand dunes, but your elevation is so ridiculously high. You actually lose a lot of the dangerous wildlife that you would encounter in such a desert,
mm,
which is awesome, right? Because I don't want to go in and see tarantulas, snakes, and fucking like scorpions like assaulting me as I'm like in the dunes. And so it's really
no,
cool, you know. You're out in the dunes and you're surrounded by mountains, and it almost feels like it doesn't make any sense. It's really
totally,
really cool.
totally. No, Colorado's beautiful. I'm gonna come visit soon, but I
Yeah.
think you might come visit first. I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
However we make it work.
Right? But let me just check my little black book. I had a
Mm.
couple more. We touched on so much because you talked about how much community was a role, and how
Yeah,
you,
that's been
like
such a huge role.
what do you think was like the just last few questions closing up here, like what do you
Mm.
think because I know you had a recent knee injury, the bone bruise and everything, and,
Yeah.
and, and all that. We have been talking about it and the curtsy lunges and everything. What do you think has like been the thing that has gotten you back past this last hurdle? Or I mean, I think you're in it a little bit still, maybe,
Yeah,
or maybe
still
you could
still a
talk
little
about
bit.
it.
I definitely
But
feel like
like,
I'm
yeah, go
I
ahead.
feel like I'm getting over that last hurdle of the recovery process because I've regained most of my range of motion, and I'm able to do most tricks. There's still a few ranges of motion within a trick that'll hurt. And it was honestly almost perfect at around Battle of Fury. And it felt really, really good. And then at Circus of Life, unfortunately, I haven't even released this clip, nor did I think I really like mentioned it too publicly. But I just like essentially like set myself back a bit at Circus of Life when I did another cork in. Fucking it's always this trick, and it was like a gainer switch cork in that I did, and I landed it, but I landed in a lunge, and I landed like low in the lunge, and my knee just was barely capable of withstanding that amount of impact. And I feel like the only reason it didn't completely re-injure me and set me back like another like 6 months or something is because I had been conditioning and I had been adhering to the bulletproof athlete routine, especially the bulletproof knee routine, and making sure that that was solid. Because I mean, otherwise I wouldn't have necessarily been able to try the gainer cork in that day. But I felt super strong that day, and unfortunately, I just miscalculated the tiniest bit, and I committed to that landing when I could have bailed. I could have bailed for sure and been safer, but I felt like I just wanted the landing in the moment, and I landed in the lunge, and it just popped a little bit. It wasn't necessarily a pop of a tendon like tearing, but it was the click that happens when the muscle runs over that inflamed area and didn't have too much of range of motion in the first place, so it jumped, you know, and it like made that transition over that bone area that's like really bruised, and that hurt, you know. And it hurt a lot. And so I was like sitting there, and the paramedics came, and they're like looking at my knee, and I had Brandon Shireen like assess me like on the spot, which was really cool. Huge shout out to everyone that was like there for me at Circus of Life, because there was like a lot of just homie support as I was like going through it, honestly, because there was the physical pain of my knee hurting, but there was also the mental pain of I just fucked myself up, and I just reset all of that work that I did, because I still hadn't stood up yet. I didn't know how bad it necessarily was until I stood up and took a step. But it hurt like really, really bad. Like it was very serious in the moment of how I thought that I had maybe just torn something, you know. And you know, Adam was there, and he was just kind of like, I get vasovagal responses to like severe amounts of pain and like stressful triggers as well. So
can you explain that to people who don't know what that is?
So a vasovagal response is essentially it's the dumbass response. It's your brain telling you you need to sit down and turn off for a second. So you'll pass out and you'll wake up maybe 15 seconds later, just a little groggy. And all it really does is it cuts off all the oxygen to your brain and says you need to sit down. My biology teacher referred to it as the dumbass response. I always thought it was the funniest thing.
Yeah, I never heard that one.
It's your body telling you sit the fuck down. Like you need to deal with this. And so like throughout like my life, like as a kid, like stupid shit has happened that has like stressed me out way too much, usually injury related, that has occasionally just caused me to pass the fuck out. And so it's been super, super weird. And I can't really control it. I just know I'm getting like nauseous and getting like tunnel vision, and then I'll pass out. And then I'll wake up and I'll be like, what happened? Like, I thought it was really funny. As a kid, I once opened the door for someone, and as it closed, it like cut my wrist in near a spot where as a kid, you might have thought, damn, I just slit my wrist. I'm going down, man. And I'm like looking at my wrist for the next 5 minutes. I just remember touching it. And the more I thought about it, the worse I made it, you know? And then there was a point when I was just hanging out with my friends, and my eyes rolled back into my head, and I just went down. And like, I was already sitting on the floor when I was looking at my knee, and I just kept like holding my knee until I just like went down for a second, got back up, and then I was like, oh, fuck. So yeah, like my knee ended up being fine. Like after I stood up, I was able to walk away from it, and walking away from that injury was like one of the things that, I mean, almost just like it like almost made me like cry with just like being able to walk, because like just the emotional impact of like I was stronger than I thought in that moment, but like still just fuck, like wow, like that was so much. I need to just walk away from this now. Like I'm glad I could walk, so I could walk the fuck away from the floor and just get away from it, you know. I was like fuck. But that little reset, honestly, that was like a bit traumatic. I didn't enjoy necessarily having the same spot in my knee feel so terrible, and it was just incredibly painful. And the next day was super cold too, so I'm walking around with this frozen knee that wasn't fun. But getting back from that point, honestly, wasn't too bad, because I already knew what I had to do. You know, it's not like I was like, oh, like fuck, what do I do? I was like, well, we're on the train for a little longer. You know, that's all right. And so coming to terms with that was honestly made it a lot easier, and having like the comfort of having a routine that I'd already been adhering to, that I knew I just had to keep doing, was honestly what really helped me just like, all right, let's just get back into it. Because I think like literally just a couple of days later, I like went back to the gym and I did my PT, and it hurt a little bit more than usual. But within the next few days, like it honestly got back to just feeling where it kind of was. within a few weeks, which was really good. And so I was able to train really hard at Neo as a result, which was fun because that was one of my biggest concerns was that I only had about 2 weeks in between Circus of Life and Neo, that I was just doing my TrickStrong so fucking hard every day, making sure I could get my knee back to where it was so that I could train at Neo, and the Neo video just dropped. It went crazy. I'm back. I was literally just back to doing snatch cannon combos
I
2 weeks
know.
later.
I
And
know
it's
you. We were
because
talking about that,
and
and
it's
then like you're
literally
back to it.
literally only because I had that PT routine. Like without that, I would have been really confused, honestly. And because before, when I got injured, I didn't necessarily have a routine to adhere to. I just kind of did maybe what I thought could help, or I'd go see a physical therapist that didn't know what tricking was, and
Right.
they'd give me some very basic exercises that didn't necessarily. They got me back to feeling like a human, but I don't want to just feel like a human. I want to feel like a fucking tricker that's able to do hella crazy, inhuman fucking movements, right? And so having something like TrickStrong has always been so key. I know I just been keep
Dude.
shouting that shit out, but it's
No, I
been
appreciate that.
literally
I'm
so
glad.
fucking helpful, and I really attribute that to being one of the main reasons why I was able to come back from that injury as quickly as I was, and why I feel like I'm getting stronger every day still. So yeah,
Dude, yeah. I mean, it's my pleasure to be a part of that, man. And that's all I really wanted with this. So thank you. I appreciate that.
dude, thank you. Like I'm only moving. I'm only moving now because of the things you've been putting out.
Oh man, thanks, man. Thank you, thank you. Yeah. So other than that, we touched on pretty much everything I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to like ask you if there's anything you could change in your journey. Would there
Mm.
be anything, knowing what you know now? And
I think knowing what I know now, when I got into tricking in 2014, if I had done conditioning pretty much every single day throughout my tricking routine, I think I would have avoided maybe not the acute injuries that just were pretty much happenstance. Like
yeah,
everyone's bound to fuck up at some point and just injure
absolutely.
themselves. Even with the corking that happened in January, I attribute that to just like I fucked up in the air, happenstance. I don't know what I would have done that differently to swing cork into gainer. I think I would have flipped harder and waited longer, but there's no point in like thinking about what could have happened, right? But the chronic injuries that developed from overuse or inflammation that kept me out of the game for a few months, those could have certainly been avoided. Like my hips became incredibly misaligned, and I had some like pinched nerves in those areas. And so I went and I had to do a lot of corrective exercises. If I had just been doing those corrective exercises proactively before that happened, then that wouldn't have happened. And things like with like chronic inflammation in your ankles, and my SI joints and my lower back and my hips and everything like that. Things like that, and my lower back as well, could have been avoided, I think, if I had been, honestly, if I had just been adhering to a physical therapy schedule that was, as intense as a TrickStrong. If TrickStrong had essentially existed back then
Yeah,
I think,
if I could just go back
yeah,
in
I think
time.
that would, yeah, I think it would have been key. And probably just with the diet too. If I just knew
Yeah.
how to eat like a responsible adult when I was like 13. But other than that, like yeah, like those chronic injuries, I think would have been the main thing though, is that I could have avoided chronic injuries from inflammation and things like that if I had just been adhering to a PT routine. And I think a lot of kids think that they can kind of trick forever, and that like the wake up call comes when you get your first like bad chronic injury, and you're like, shit, I got to do like months of PT to fix this. This is not an acute injury.
Yeah.
um, and that they don't necessarily need that slap in the face. No one needs that. If they
Not
had just been
anymore.
like
There's so much information out
proactively,
there right
dude, yeah, there's
now.
so much,
It's
and
like,
so like
everyone's telling.
anyone that's like watching this, please, um, go take care of your body. Make sure your body is growing with your tricks, because without that proper care, you are kind of destined for some injuries. Because tricking is very, very high impact, and it requires you to cross train and to condition to maintain your body in the long run. Yeah.
I had nothing to say after that. That was, yeah, completely agree. And that was actually the last thing I was going to ask. If you had any advice for anybody, trying to break through any plateaus, get to the next level. I guess, what you had said was more of how to stay
Yeah.
safe and everything. But
But
how about
but
somebody trying to break a barrier or something like
so
that?
for the plateau breaking, I feel like it almost touches on a similar point, although it can be a matter of how hard that you're tricking. But a lot of the time we don't think of how much our body may just not be capable of doing that trick at this time. You know, it may not be even a case of the technique being good enough, because I see some people will send me, combos sometimes, and their technique isn't necessarily wrong, and at that point I can say, like, maybe you can try jumping hard, but like that's not that like see, that's bad advice. It's not going to teach you to do any of that technique better. You really want to, in that case, be strengthening your body so you can execute that technique with more efficiency and more strength, because that may be the thing that you're not paying attention to, is that you're just focusing on the tricking aspect of it, but you're not focusing on the aspect that, like, I mean, this is a sport, this is an art. Your body is your paintbrush, and if you don't take care of your paintbrush, you're not going to be able to paint all those beautiful masterpieces. So that's just like one of the things that I definitely think is a super key, and that I've come to realize now, is that for breaking through plateaus, it's no longer such a thing of just thinking about the pure technical aspect of, like, what can I be doing different in the trick and doing this better. And that, I mean, this also comes from a point of tricking for many years and being able to acknowledge that the technique isn't the issue, and that your body might be the issue. You might need to just be training your body up a bit to be a bit stronger to do that technique. But yeah, I think that's like really the key thing, is that you be filming your trick from all the angles and doing that, and making sure that you are changing your technique, and altering it, small tweaks every time, to make sure you're not just doing the same thing every time, because that would be pointless. But that also you're looking at it from a side of, how strong is my body? Is my body actually ready to do this? Even if I do the technique perfectly, can I perform it safely, efficiently, like, well? And so I think looking at plateaus through that extra lens of, can my body actually do it, is, I feel like, super key, because I didn't necessarily think of that as a kid. I just thought I had to just fucking trick a lot harder and just figure it out, but maybe I just wasn't necessarily strong enough at the time. And so that's one of the other things that I've come to realize, is that, again, growing your body with your tricks will help you hopefully avoid plateaus, because you'll be consistently able to perform the techniques that you're trying, so yeah.
Nice.
Hell yeah. Break through those plateaus. Train your body with your tricks.
Love it, man. Love it. Where can people find you if they want to see more of your content, or like, where's the best places?
You can go on my Instagram, Eton_TDR. Been the classic handle for as long as I can remember. Or you can follow me and my teammates on Barrier Hustle Team, or just look me up on YouTube, just my name. But yeah. Thank you so much again, Neil, for just like chatting and getting the chance to create this little interview, this little TrickStrong podcast.
Dude,
and thank you everyone who tuned in, for listening. I hope this helped you gain some insight into how I put up with my body and how you can put up with yours.
Definitely. Love it, man. Thank you so much for coming on. And I think people will get a lot out of this, because
heck yeah,
I did.
Heck yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.